WDXE News, on the air since 1951. This is The Legend. 105.3, 95.3, WDXE.
That's us, WDXE. It's time for Friends and Neighbors Hour, brought to you by Hood Company, powered by Keller Williams. That's me. That's my little bunch. And listen, speaking of a little bunch, we've got a great bunch in here today. It's LCHS on Lafayette Group. And Jim Brewer.
Yes, sir.
I guess you're kind of heading up the effort and the group here along with your friends.
Well, I don't head it up. I'm the money guy, you know.
Oh, well, usually the money guy heads it up.
Well, okay, all right. Okay.
Well, anyway, let's go around the room and introduce ourselves.
Jim Brewer.
Jim Brewer.
Lane Rolling, class of 72.
Oh, my class 71, if you're going to do that, okay.
Sherry Newell, class of 70.
Butch Newell, 68.
Steve Frisbee, class of 1965, the old guy in the group.
Yeah, you are the old guy, aren't you?
I'm telling you.
That's okay. You're the skipper, though.
The skipper, yes.
Scoot that mic up just a little bit over there with you guys. I want to try to keep you at the same level. All those mics are, controlled by one volume knob, so you may have to kind of speak up a little bit. But so you guys, I've been kind of looking forward to this. I told the folks that LCHS on Lafayette, of course, we know is the old high school. And so why are you guys here?
Well, the main reason why we're here is to join up with the guys that we went to school with.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a unique building, a unique time that we had together, and having us all together is just very meaningful. So,
yeah,
that's really the main reason. So,
yeah. Have y'all gotten together before?
Yes,
Yeah,
this will be our fourth year.
Yeah, fourth year, yeah.
Okay.
Our first year was going to be 2020, but of COVID came and we had to postpone it until 21.
Yeah.
So we've had one every year since 21.
And your class, you said it earlier, but your class was where?
1970.
1970. Okay, so class of 70. And was that the last graduating class at Lafayette?
No, it's over here. 71 was the last class to
Okay.
graduate there.
71
Yeah.
was the last
Quite
class.
proud of that.
Yeah, yeah,
We even made T-shirts.
yeah, last class.
the last class.
Yeah.
Okay. Lane, were you in 71 or 70 or?
72.
72. So, but you did go to the high school. Though. So 72 would have been the new school.
We were the first class in the new school.
That's
to
right,
graduate.
first class in new school. I was wondering about that earlier. And, I was thinking about this. The new school is not that new anymore.
No, it's
No,
not.
it's not.
At least 50 years old.
It's about 50 years old now.
Hey, we've already, people that are listening that maybe haven't lived here that long or moved here or whatever.
Yeah.
We just kind of expect everybody to know what we're talking about. But LCHS on Lafayette is now the school that's called E.O. Kaufman. That's
Yes.
where all of us went to high school, at least for a couple of years,
Yeah.
and graduated from. So for those who don't know what we're talking about, it's E.O. Kaufman on Lafayette Street. That's
Right.
why we call it that. This was planned for anyone who went to that school at all. So
Yes.
it goes through class of 74.
Goes through class of 74. Yeah, I see what
Right.
you mean.
Right.
That would have attended the old Lawrence County High
Right.
School on Lafayette.
Right.
And, of course, the buildings are changed now. The
yeah.
old building,
Yeah.
the old high school building's not there anymore. And, of course, that's to be expected. Times change and, time rolls on, as I've begun to really be aware. So when you guys decided to do this, kind of who started that effort?
From what I hear, Steve and
Steve.
our old buddy Ronald Fox kind of
Yeah.
threw that idea out.
Yeah, well, prior to our 50th reunion of the class of 65, excuse me, Ronald and I discussed having a reunion of all the classes that attended on Lafayette.
Yeah.
So we kicked it around and actually went to a couple of presidents of different classes, but we couldn't get any. We couldn't get a real fixture of what we should do. In other words,
Yeah.
we went to the class presidents, how we can get this done, and nothing seemed to gel. So Sherry was at the drugstore one day, and I talked to her about it, and guess what? She made it happen.
She made it happen. How did you make this happen?
Well, this group made it happen. So
Yeah, how'd you make this happen?
Well,
And
just
by the way,
talking.
you have a date in mind? Is a date and time that's going to be
It's the second Saturday of every May,
second Saturday of every May? We
Right.
missed that
which
part.
will be the 11th this year,
Okay. And where do we do this?
the Rotary Park.
Rotary Park. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, good. Now we got that. So how did you make this happen?
Well, just talking to Steve and Ronald, and we kind of talked about doing maybe all the classes in the 60s. Well, I graduated in 70, so I thought, well, I'm cut out of that. But yet I had so many friends in the 60s. So then we kind of came up with the idea of doing, inviting anyone that went to that school.
Yeah.
And the first year, we actually had Marie Lindsay came. She just celebrated her 100th birthday.
Oh wow.
She was in the class of 1941. In the first year, even though we were battling COVID, we ended up with almost 400 people that attended that
Oh
year.
wow. Seems like I remember this happening. I do.
It was great.
Yeah, I bet it was.
And also the Skylighters, Butch and I ran into Mike O'Rear, and we started talking
Yeah.
to him, and he said, hey, I think we would like to come and play. So
Yeah.
they have been here every year.
Every year.
Yes.
So kind of what's on tap for this year's event?
Same thing.
Same thing. The gates will open at 11. The Skylighters will play at 1. We'll have food trucks there for
Yeah.
anyone wants to have lunch and
All right.
just
Yeah, it's completely free.
socialize.
There's food trucks, so you don't have to pay to get in. You
Right.
can
Yeah.
buy food if you want to. It's just
Yeah.
come by and walk around, talk to some people, and
Yeah.
watch the Skylighters.
Well, I was kind of hoping to drag y'all back into reminiscing about life on the campus at LCHS
Oh, yeah.
Lafayette. What was campus life like for you guys? And we'll start one at a time. I know Lane, she was busting a gut to talk. She can't wait. So now listen, I know what high school was like when I went to high school, and it probably wasn't a lot different, just a generation or two off. But we were in the same place. So what was life like at the campus of Lawrence County High School on Lafayette?
Well, life was a lot simpler then, I
Yes.
will say.
Yes.
I don't know. I loved high school.
Yeah.
And the one on Lafayette and the old building. I don't know. It was
Yeah.
just something unique about that old building.
Yeah. Kind of
Creaky floors
nostalgic.
and all.
Creaky floors.
Creaky floors and all. Now was it hot or cold?
It could be pretty warm in there.
Yeah, because I wondered. I mean, honestly, back then
Yeah.
they didn't air condition schools quite the same.
We didn't have air conditioning
I was
at
gonna
all.
say we opened up the
Raised the
windows.
window, yes.
Yeah, because I was in elementary school. That's what we did too. Like there was some summertime, the windows were up and all that.
Yeah.
All that kind of deal. So, so how much?
Cafeteria was neat. It had a jukebox.
Oh,
Yes, it
really?
did.
Yes, that was neat.
Well, let's
Now,
talk
wait
about
just
that.
a minute. A jukebox.
Yeah.
Oh
We
my
did.
goodness.
Well, you went home probably for lunch.
No, we never had
Well, I don't
a
know
jukebox.
when they did the jukebox, when it first started. It was there when I got there. I remember
was there
being a
for
freshman
72.
listening. Yeah.
Yeah.
It wasn't in 1965.
We had a huge study hall.
Yeah. Did you get sent to study hall? Any trouble or anything like that?
No,
No,
everyone
study hall
in
was a
study
whole
hall.
period back
Yeah.
then. They
It was
took one whole
mandatory.
period. You had to go to this huge room.
Oh, yeah.
You probably never saw it, but that was one of your periods. You're supposed to go study.
Yeah.
Now, when I went to, let's see, the old library building was there when I went to Earl Kaufman.
The library was at the end of the study hall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that was
there was a
where they
building.
doing-
There was an old building there. I remember, and I don't know if it was part of the original high school or not. Excuse me. This would have been. Well, I graduated '79, so 75, 76, 74 maybe at E.O. Kaufman at that point. And then over to the high school, the new high school. But there was an old building. We had the old library building. We called it, I guess. It had some steps that went up the front. I remember. Wasn't there in? Listen, I didn't read a book the whole time I was in school, so I wasn't too familiar with the library. It was just
Well,
over there.
You could go fall asleep in there sometimes.
Yeah.
I remember Tom Hudson was a teacher, and he would do study hall, and if he walked by and you were asleep, he would thump you on the ear.
Yeah.
That's right.
Woke you up real quick.
That's one of the things I want to ask you about is some of the old teachers that were at the high school when you were there. Can you name some teachers that were there?
Oh, sure. Tom Cruise, for sure.
Tom Cruise.
American
cat.
history. Let's see, who else is still?
I don't know if Miss Helton. I
Yeah,
had her.
Miss Helton. I had her in
Miss Anna
chemistry
Mary
and
Springer.
physics. Anna Mary
My
Springer,
sister was-
algebra 2.
My sister Gail was teaching when I first got there. She stayed maybe my freshman year, maybe my sophomore year too. I don't remember.
Well, Gail was there when I was there.
Yeah.
So in
Yeah,
60.
she was my biology teacher.
Really?
Yeah.
So you
Love that lady.
you had a sister that was a teacher when you got there? That must have been rough on you.
No.
No.
She did tell me how to not get any spankings. I was too chicken to try it. She gave me this advice when I started high school.
What was the advice?
Because particularly football coaches like to give a few licks.
Yeah.
They enjoy it. You know they did. Well, the advice was the first time you ever get hit with a paddle, just fall out on the floor like you passed out. Says nobody will ever hit you again. I thought, but with my big mouth, I'll go tell somebody, and I'd be in more trouble than ever before, right? You know?
That's
Garner
good.
Ezel. He was
Yeah.
the basketball coach.
A lot of these names are familiar to me too. I mean, I
Yes.
remember those. I'm sure.
Carl Tom Cruise. Carl Tom Hudson.
Tom Hudson. Now,
Yeah.
you know, I don't think I've heard it before, but I'll remember him as a banker.
Right.
Well, he was a teacher too.
He was.
He was kind of a booger too.
He was.
Yeah. Oh, he
ones
was
that
a
I could-
disciplinarian.
He was a booger of a banker too. I will tell you
a
that.
disciplinarian. Yeah, I'm
The
telling
ones
you.
I can think of that are still alive, of course, is Garner Ezel. He lives
Yeah.
not far from here. And Patsy
Cruise.
Morgan and my sister and
Tom
Joanne-
Cruise.
No, boy.
Jim Peppers.
Jim Peppers,
He's
yeah, and of
still
course Tom Cruise. We
Yeah.
didn't mention him.
Did y'all? And I'm just mentioning this name because I knew him as a kid, and I knew that he was supposed to have been a teacher in the past when I was a kid. Mr. T.D. Rayfield. Did y'all remember him? Don't remember him? He was
He
a.
was at
Etheridge.
He was at
Yeah.
Etheridge.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know if he was at the high school or not. I just remember he was supposed to have been a teacher. And he
Jerome
was-
Gaines, he's still
Jerome
around.
Gaines,
Yeah,
yeah.
He's a football coach there.
Pud Rayfield. You remember? Y'all
Oh,
may
yeah.
not remember Pud.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he.
My Aunt Frances.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, interesting.
There's still a few.
Francis.
Oh,
yeah.
Maxine.
Yeah, Maxine
Yeah,
Peppers.
she
Yes.
was my typing teacher.
Yes.
Well, good deal. Good deal. Well, we got plenty of time to reminisce on some things. I want to hear some of your favorite stories from your days at the high school.
You might want to turn the mic over to Butch Newell.
Well, scoot that one over just a little bit.
He's the man with the stories.
Yeah, Butch, I got to tell you, I'm just because I resemble this remark. You might have been somewhat mischievous in high school, just looking at you.
No.
I'm just,
Absolutely, he was. Yes.
Hey,
not
Butch,
that way
only tell the
anymore.
true stories, okay?
Okay.
I'm just. Well, scoot up a little bit for me.
All right.
We
Well,
got-
when my senior year, everybody had the same American history teacher,
yeah.
and Mrs. Newton. And there in our classroom, there was a picture of George Washington. And when she would go stand close to it in class, you caught yourself looking at the picture and looking at her. You couldn't tell the difference.
Really?
Yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth.
And I had her at lunch period. We had a split class. And one day, her and Mrs. Little taught Latin. They
And
were
French.
always
And French, yeah.
They were always together. And after they ate, they went into the teacher's lounge,
Yes.
which was next to the library and the study hall. Well, someone shut the door, and they had a latch lock on the outside and locked them in when they went into the lounge.
Now, were you that someone?
No, but I was real close to them when it happened. And so it was time for class to start, and they couldn't get out. and they banging on the door, banging on the door. Everybody went to the class and just sat in there. And then finally she said, "Butch Newell, I know you did it." And so I went and opened the door, and her neck and face was like a Coke bottle. Coke can, just red. And she sent me to Mr. Few, the principal, and I went in there, and he had heard about it, and he started laughing his head off. I said, "Mr. Few, I did not do this." But even today, I'm to blame.
Well, it would have been fun if you did do it either way.
Yeah.
Yes, that's pretty fun. That's pretty good stuff.
There was a breezeway between what's part of Kaufman and the old building.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always challenged to run across the top of the breezeway.
Yeah.
And I crawled out the window from what Kaufman now, ran across the breezeway, jumped through the window, into the old building. First person I saw was Mr. Few.
He was ready for you, right?
Coming up the step.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
I probably was a little mischievous.
I had a unique situation in high school. My senior year, we had an advanced math and trig course.
Yeah.
With Mr. Alsop.
Yeah.
And so we had the split class.
Yeah.
So one day he told us before we went to lunch that somebody had donated brand new American flags for every room. So he was going to take that one, the old one down, and put the new one up. So when we got back from lunch, he was strutting around the room that he had really done a good job putting this flag up. We looked up, it was upside down and backwards.
That's a sign of distress.
That, I guess. Well,
That's
he
a
was
distress
distressed,
call.
I
I'm
guess.
glad he wasn't a history teacher.
Well, that's right. Whew, he was something else.
Good deal.
Carl Tom, when he was, I had him in study hall my junior year, I guess, and so he made the announcement one Friday, right during study hall. He said, "Anybody wants to take the ACT test, will be here in the morning at 8 o'clock." Somebody said, "What's the ACT test?" "Well, if you're going to college, that's what you need to take."
Yeah.
So I said, "Well, I guess I need to take that." So that was our introduction to the ACT test. You
Yeah.
just say, "We'll be here in the morning." When I opened that test, I said, "Holy smoke, what a test." Good gracious. So,
Well, you did real good on the ACT.
I made 34. 16 the first time I took it, and 18 the second.
there you go. Good, man. That's fantastic, Butch. Oh, man.
Well, now, what about you girls? Were y'all good grades through school?
Definitely.
I had to behave and have good grades. My mama was over there.
yeah.
She was secretary.
Oh, okay.
And Steve's mom was
Oh, yeah.
guidance counselor.
Yes,
So we
had to behave.
We had to behave.
or else.
Well, that's too bad. That's just too bad. Oh my goodness.
But it was good for some of the rest of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Now,
your brother-in-law got to be real good friends with her mother.
Did any of
And
y'all
we got to skip a few times with her blessing.
Mike.
Did any of y'all play ball? All right, we'll come back to that. Maybe somebody wants to ask a question or call in. Y'all won't be able to hear this without the headphones. Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, a lot of people didn't know that in probably 68 or so, 69, we had classes across the street
American
down in where it's a clothing store now, a big building down there on the corner.
American Legion.
And it was a pain getting to the bus on time. They had to start letting us out a little bit early to catch the buses.
Okay.
And also, I don't know if anybody remembers, probably my freshman year would have been about 68. We had, in the old study hall, we had home rooms, actually, in each corner of the big room. Well, we got to school one day, and we couldn't go in because some boys had put a dead animal in there. And so we couldn't have classes because it kind of stunk bad.
Oh, my goodness. Well, listen, so everybody know who we talking to.
Gloria Keener.
Gloria Keener. Gloria Keener. Well, thanks for sharing, Gloria.
Class of 72, but
72.
I didn't graduate here, but I would have been class of 72, but I went there freshman and sophomore.
Oh, okay. All right, very good. If y'all want to put a headphone on, you can hear phone calls, and we'll invite the phone calls from folks that may want to have a memory to share or something like that. Of course, we're visiting with LCHS on Lafayette, our friends there, and you guys have an LCHS on Lafayette reunion planned for the second Saturday in May at the Rotary Park. At what time? 11 o'clock. 11 a.m.
Skylighters will start up at 1.
Skylighters start at 1, and then, of course, there'll be lots of food and refreshments there available for you.
Bring your lawn chair.
You bring your lawn chairs. Let me ask you this. If you didn't go to LCHS on Lafayette, but you wanted to watch anyway,
Just come on.
Come on.
I was about to say that because when Sherry was talking to Michael Rear, he said, and tell people they don't have to come to the reunions per se, but they can come see the Skylighters. Because what they do is they take up a donation for their scholarship fund.
Yeah.
So whether you even if you just moved here last year, if you never, anything, you could come and watch the Skylighters. And if you want to walk around, talk to some people, get something from a food truck.
Yeah.
But there's no admission charge, so anybody can come. Skylighters at 1 o'clock. Just come on and bring your lawn chair. Watch them.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's a unique situation to watch the Skylighters too.
Oh, yeah.
So I mean, they're fantastic. So
y'all mentioned a lady that was in the class of 41. What was her name?
Marie Lindsay.
Marie Lindsay.
Yes.
Now, has she been the oldest graduate to attend so far?
Yes.
From 1941. Now, what do y'all know who the, how do I say this, the oldest LCHS graduate would be, or the earliest year that they would graduate that's still here with us right now?
Besides her, I don't know.
I don't know because she just turned 100 this
She
year.
just turned, so she's still here.
She's still
Well,
alive.
bless her. So maybe she'll make it then
Yes.
to the reunion. That's pretty awesome. Class of 1941. I wonder if, I mean, not many. I wonder how many years after that. I mean, you've got graduates from what years?
We have some from the early 50s, class of 50, 51, 52.
Okay, so a lot of classes in the 50s maybe, and then the 60s, of course.
The year that Marie came, I said, Miss Lindsay, do you need a golf cart to carry you around the park? And she goes, oh, no, I can walk.
Well,
And
good
she
for her.
did.
hey, and she still mows her own yard
She does?
Yes.
Wow.
Wow, bless her.
with a 0-turn mower.
There you go. Can't beat that.
Yeah.
Speaking of golf carts, we have set up a number of golf carts. We pick people up when they park
Yeah.
and transport them to the area we're going to be at.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it saves a little walking for most people.
Y'all have had some big crowds, I guess. Well, good deal. So how are y'all getting the word out? Other than doing what we're doing today.
Facebook.
Facebook.
Most.
newspaper.
That's a big deal. in Oregon.
Most of the classes have their own Facebook page, like our class of 71 and your class. So
Yeah,
72.
that's
so
true.
that's where we've done most of our advertising. We've tried to do some newspaper and stuff, but it really, people that are here probably already know about it. So
Yeah.
the Facebook advertising is for people maybe that would come. Like in my class, when we had our 50th reunion, we just decided, I don't know if it was unanimous, but we decided not to have any more class of 71 reunions. We're just going to go to this one every year you want to.
Yeah, that's
So,
a good idea.
Right.
That's a good idea. I mean, get to see not all, because I remember just from my high school going to. We not only went with our particular year class, but we went with a 4-year group. Over a period of years, and so we knew lots of folks that went to high school over a period of a few years like that. So
And
it's
most
kinda
of
neat.
us married somebody from another year class.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. My wife's about. No, I shouldn't say how much older she is than me.
I'll go ahead.
Jeff, you're gonna get yourself in trouble.
I stay in trouble.
I mean,
I stay in
you can't
trouble.
do that.
She and I were high school sweethearts. Did any of y'all marry your high school sweethearts?
Yeah.
Listen, they can't see you raise your hand
Oh,
on the.
me. Well, they can on Facebook.
They can't on Facebook. This is not a raise your hand setting. You have to answer.
Well, I thought I was back in school. We were talking about school.
Yeah, but so high school sweethearts. No, did you have high school sweethearts?
Oh, yeah.
Several of them. I mean, yes.
Now he's in trouble.
Now he's in trouble. Yeah. Well, so do we need to start naming our high school sweethearts, or no?
No.
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 Okay.
Just the one I kept.
Just the one you kept. That's right. That's right. Steve, I can't imagine you going all the way through school without. And of course, you said you had your mother was there,
Yes, oh, yeah.
so you had to behave to, at least to some degree.
To some degree, yes.
But you got away with what you could.
Oh, absolutely. I think everybody does. But high school was absolutely fantastic. I loved every year, every class, all my classmates, and
Yeah.
But it was a rude awakening going from elementary school to high school. I was so nervous. I mean, it was unbelievable. When I got there, everything just fit in. I mean, it was wonderful. So changing classes, seeing people all during the day, and it was a real neat experience.
That was a very new experience for me too, because I went to New Prospect School and we stayed in the same classroom pretty much all day.
Yeah, right.
And I did go to E.O. Kaufman my 8th grade year because I wanted to play football.
Yeah.
And I was able to go because Mother worked in town and she could drop me off. And I remember if I hadn't have done that, I probably would have been lost as a termite in a yo-yo when I got to high school.
I know it.
Because I had no idea what class changing was all about. And that was a big deal. So kind of what was transition like? Now, where did you guys, let's go individually, where did you go to elementary school before you went to high school?
Well, I went to Lawrenceburg Public.
You went to Lawrenceburg Public?
I went to West Highland and then Lawrenceburg Public to play
Okay,
football.
so, to play football. Okay,
I came to Lawrenceburg Public in the 5th grade.
okay.
And I was Lawrenceburg Public all 8th, through the 8th grade.
Through the 8th grade. You went to Lawrenceburg Public.
Ingram South.
Ingram South,
The new school.
the
then.
new school.
Then. It was
Then
the new school.
it was a new school then.
Yeah.
I went to Ingram South one year because we lived in town when I was 1st grade. I had Miss Faust. Did you have Miss Faust?
Oh, I love Miss Faust.
I loved Miss Faust.
She was great.
She was a
My
great.
first grade teacher. Was she yours?
Yes, my 1st grade teacher. And Norman Marston was the principal then. And he smoked a pipe, walked up and down the hall with the paddle in his hip, sticking out of his. He was one intimidating figure to a 1st grader, I'm going to tell you that. But one of the nicest men I've ever known once I got grown. But back then, I thought that fella would kill me, you know.
Man, yes.
Let Butch tell you about 1st grade at West Highland.
West Highland 1st grade. Well, scoot up there and tell us, what'd you do?
Well,
This time.
Knows how to preface that.
He took it 3 times.
I'd spent 2 years with my mother at County Line Elementary School. She was a teacher.
Okay.
So when I got to the 1st grade, it was boring for me. And
Yes.
I wouldn't sit down. And my teacher, Mrs. Maud Dunn, she took my chair away from me. She's going to fix me, and I loved it, being able to stand up all day.
Yeah.
And then the next day, she took the jump rope and tied me to my chair. I mean, and that didn't last either. So, but I left during the middle of the first day or two because I lived about 300 yards from the school.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to go home for a while. And my dad found out about it, and I only did that one time. But
You know, when you told that, in today's world, there would be lawsuits flying
yes,
every
definitely.
direction that there could be.
it would be
And so-
my school.
Yeah, and
Yes.
so I would just, of course, not to get into too much today's political climate, but again, you mentioned it earlier. Life was so much simpler then, and there was certain expectations, and the school teachers were backed up by the parents, and the teachers backed up the parents, and the parents backed up the teachers. We don't have that world anymore. And so when we get together and kind of reminisce on this, it kind of makes you wonder why and what could be done. It's fun to get together and reminisce. I'm going to task you with okay, how can we fix this and get us back to that simpler time? Is it even possible?
It'd be very difficult, that's for sure.
It would, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, I'll give you for example.
Yeah.
When I was a freshman, we played Hornwall in a football game.
Yeah.
Well, we had a great freshman team that ended up in 4 years we were 10-0. So we that particular day, every time we got the ball, we ran a touchdown. Hornwall couldn't move the ball. I mean, it was pitiful, really.
Yeah.
So when we got back to Lawrenceburg, the coach said, "I want y'all to line up because y'all going to each get a lick because you didn't give 110% the whole game." I'm thinking, holy smokes. So I said, he'll just give us a little love lick.
Yeah.
Well, when Coach Hamlet hit the first person down on the end of the line, I said, that's not a love lick.
That ain't a love lick.
No, that's not a love lick. And I mean, he hit us, and we we always gave 110% after that because we did not like that love lick anymore. And something else I want to say about our graduation. I brought this up at our last class reunion. Our 10th year reunion, we were at the country club. We had a dinner and a band. We got there at like 6 or 7 in the evening and stayed, and we had breakfast the next morning at Roy's Cafe. So it was an all-night deal. Our 20th year reunion, we stayed there from like 7 or 8, had a band, meal, and got through about 12 or 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
Our 30th year reunion, we got there about 7 or 8, stayed about 8 or 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Our 40th year reunion, we set it up to have it at Rotary Park from 2 to 6. The last 2 years, our reunions, we have them at the church from 2 to 4. So that's been our progression of graduation parties.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Hey,
so,
Steve, you talked about getting the licks from the coaches.
Yeah.
They would just love to do that, didn't they?
They loved it. I mean,
This story, I sent it to Reader's Digest. I don't think they ever printed it, but I thought it was a funny story. When you had PE, they were obsessed with whether you took a shower or not.
oh, absolutely.
Afterwards.
Yes.
Even if you didn't do anything to sweat, you still had to take a shower.
Yes.
So one morning, he called us all out on the gym floor, had us line up in one line. He said, okay, who did not take a shower yesterday? So the guy beside me went, say you did, say you took it. I said, no, I didn't. I walked across. But less than half of us were honest enough to walk across, line up on the other line.
Yeah.
So then he went down through there and gave every one of us a lick.
Yeah.
Then he got through and he looked over at the other line that was still standing there and says, now, this group took showers, but they forgot to turn them off. Bend over. So he got everybody in the class.
That's good.
That's a great story, yes.
Gosh, I'd even forgot about gym class. They were
Yeah, it was Bill Ed Beecham that enjoyed doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. That was, teachers had reputations to uphold with their paddling.
Yeah.
Anybody have a special memory of getting paddled?
Not me.
You
Like I
girls,
said,
you
I
girls
stayed
never,
out of
y'all
trouble.
stayed out of trouble. Y'all didn't get any paddlings.
I remember hearing Mr. Few going into someone pretty bad and telling him to stand up and take it like a man. Everybody in the room kind of went, ooh.
Or he'd send him down to Coach Staggs. Remember when he'd send him down to Coach Staggs? Coach Staggs would take
For a
care
little
of
guy.
us. Man, he was
Yeah.
a wonderful guy, but he could have been a little terror too.
He could light you up, huh?
Yes, yes.
Well, I have paddling stories, but you may not want to hear mine. One of my favorites, I'll tell you right quick. Y'all remember Dr. Lind? Dr. Gary Lind?
Yeah.
He was at New Prospect and was one of mine. And I really liked Dr. Lind. He was good to us, played chess with us. I learned to play chess with him. He was a good basketball coach for elementary school basketball. What little I learned about basketball was him. But a couple of us got in trouble, and he sent me and another boy out into the hall. And he came out with his paddle and closed the door behind him. And the sweat was popping. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm fixing to get it. Well, he leaned his hand up on the wall and crossed his leg with his foot up and paddled his foot. Oh, the bottom of his foot just made this huge noise. Pow, pow, pow. And he waited a couple of seconds and did it again. He said, y'all go back in there. So we missed, and we kept our mouths shut. Everybody in the whole room thought that we were busted good, and we got nothing. That was one of my favorite paddling stories.
Well, I've got a paddling story that I'd like to tell. It's not on me,
Yeah.
but Carl Tom Hudson was the teacher.
Yeah?
And we had a guy in our class that was disruptive. He was a great guy, but he would just like to be disruptive, just talk and that kind of stuff. Well, Carl Tom had told him 2 or 3 times, settle down, settle down. So he didn't. So we were in the biology class, and they had that storage room back behind the classroom. So Carl Tom asked him to come visit him in the back room.
Mm-hmm.
Tom hit him about 4 or 5 times. He came back with big tears in his eyes, and if you put a gun to his head, he wouldn't ever talk again after that. He was silent. I mean, Mr. Silent after that. So,
Y'all mentioned Tom Cruise. Now, what did he teach at high school when y'all were there?
American history.
American history.
American
is what
history,
I
yes.
had him in.
Yeah, he was principal at the high school
Yes.
when I graduated.
in fact, he was a great history teacher.
Yeah.
He really was good, yes.
Well, good. Well, good deal. His wife worked with my mom at the bank. They were side by side buddies at the 4th Street drive-in. The drive-through.
I remember, yeah.
And so my mom and her were good buddies, work buddies, and I'll just have to say I was not a good student. I plowed through high school and graduated, but I wasn't a scholarly student. I just was there to have fun.
Me too.
And I was there to have fun and did. And I would skip every once in a while, and bless my mother's heart, every once in a while she'd even give me an excuse, well, all right, whatever. She kind of let me get away with murder. But anyway, I remember handing Tom Cruise an excuse when I had been out. And I don't know if I had a fake one or I had a real one. I don't know.
Well, I'm sure it was fake.
But I had an excuse, and I was sick the day before. So I handed it to him, and he said, "You kind of puny, aren't you?" And of course, I was 6 foot tall and 225 pounds, and healthy as a horse. He said, "You kind of puny, aren't you?" Sent me on my way. But he was a good character to me, and I never will forget this. I graduated high school in 1979, and they hand you your diploma. And Mr. Cruz shook my hand. I shook his hand. We walked off, and I told you, Teresa and I, we were high school sweethearts, and she had already graduated the year before. So we took off. Anyway, sometime later, my mom asked me, what did I say to Tom Cruise when I got my diploma? And I was like, what did I say? And I said, all I said was, thank you, Mr. Cruz. And I did. I remember making eye contact with him, and I sincerely thanked him because I really didn't think I was going to graduate, but I think they let me. You understand? So I sincerely thanked him and shook his hand, looked him in the eyeball, and I said, thank you, Mr. Cruz, and walked off. Well, he told his wife, evidently, and his wife told my mom that I said the nicest thing that anybody ever said to him as I graduated. So I was like, well, what in the world? And all I said was thank you.
Are you sure?
So that's it. That's it. She said he was the nicest one to come across the stage. So how about that? 70. Listen, we were the class of '79, and they were glad to get rid of us. Somebody put it that way. So anyway, but I'm looking forward to your event.
You need to come, Jeff.
I've never came. I've never been to it, but I think I'd like it.
Yeah, you and Teresa come.
I know we'd love to see it and see the folks. Of course, we know a lot of y'all anyway. So, how many people have you been getting? Been coming?
Average maybe 300.
300.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need to scoot up to the mic some.
Average like 300.
There you go. There you go. You're over there in the corner. Maybe that was where you sat during schools in the corner.
Should have.
Just recently, Sherry and I went to TSSAA Hall of Fame dinner. I had a friend getting inducted and ran into a lady lives in Culleoka there, and first thing she said, I can't wait until your reunion. She was in the class 58 maybe.
Yeah.
She was a Franks, Dolly Franks.
Yeah.
She married Hardy Lloyd. And
yes, absolutely. Yeah,
and the first thing she said, I can't wait to that reunion
How
again.
about that?
And
she was a beautiful girl too.
Yes, she was.
Yes.
Still is a beautiful lady.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned playing football. Let's get a phone call because somebody may want to comment here. Good morning. How are you?
Yes, good morning. I want to say that I was in high school during the war years, 42 to 46.
42 to 46.
Yes.
Okay.
And there are very, very few of my classmates that are still living.
Well, are you going to be able to make the reunion that's coming?
Well, I went last year,
Yes.
so I'll try.
Yes.
I will try that.
What's your name, hon?
Betty Hale.
Miss Betty Hale.
Oh, yes, I
Yes.
remember you coming.
Yeah, they all know
And during
you.
that time, we had rationing, and we had so many things that we had to face, but all kids do.
Yes. What year did you graduate, hon?
46.
1946.
Yes.
good.
Mr. Kaufman was principal, and there were 2 cars in the parking lot. He had one, and Mrs. Springer had the other one, and Henry Thomas delivered milk for his dad, and he drove a pickup truck. So there was not a need for a big parking lot.
Yeah. Well, Mrs. Hale, I know exactly who you are. I know exactly who you are. You're my mom used to work with Luke Hale at the bank.
Yes, absolutely. First National and then SunTrust.
That's right. Well, it's so good to hear from you.
Well, go Wildcats.
Yeah, that a girl.
Thank you, hon. How about that? Miss Betty Hale there, 46,
she can come.
1946
Yes.
graduate. How about that? She's going to be among the oldest graduates there, I would say. How about that? Well, I think it's a good thing you guys are doing to get together and
lot of fun.
a lot of fun. Bring photographs, bring yearbooks. Y'all still have yearbooks?
Oh, yes. Yes, we all have
You know,
yearbooks.
I don't know that I could put my hands on my yearbook. I'd like to get one. I don't think I have it anymore from my high school days.
By the way, you've mentioned sports twice and never gotten back to it.
I know. I mentioned the sports. Well, when I asked if anybody played sports, I thought everybody said no, but I know better. You did.
Yeah.
You played football.
Right.
What else did you play?
Basketball.
Basketball.
That's
And
all
I'm
we
not-
had
and-
then,
yeah.
wasn't it?
Football and basketball.
All right.
And I was not a basketball player.
Well,
So,
I know why.
well, when Coach Stagg saw that 360 dunk behind my head, he said, "Oh my gosh, you got to be on the team." Now, every year when football season was over, he would ask if you played football, you were guaranteed to play on the basketball team.
Yeah.
So because that just kept us in shape.
Yeah.
So every year he'd say, "All right, who wants to play basketball?" Of course, I'd raise my hand. Yeah, I want to play. And so I did that my freshman and sophomore, and my junior year. He said, "All right, who wants to play basketball?" And I, of course, raised my hand. He said, "Steve, are you sure you want to play basketball?" I said, "Coach, I love basketball." He said, "Okay." Well, my senior year, I said, "Well," he said that again. I said, "Well, I won't play this year. I'll give the other team a chance." So,
There you go.
yeah,
There you go. Well, it's good because, I mean, nobody can handle that skip you got, buddy.
I know. Well, I got one real funny story about Coach Staggs that I wanted to tell. We were playing like Manchester one night at high school, and the cheerleaders were saying beat Winchester. So So me and Jim Cone and Louis Heller were sitting on the back row because when we played, there was 20 seconds left in the game. We were ahead like 30 points. That's the only time we went into play. So this particular night, we were actually losing. It was the first quarter, and I punched Jim. I said, Jim, they're cheering for the wrong team this year. They don't even know who we were playing. Well, we got to giggling about it.
Yeah.
And so Coach Staggs called a timeout. Here we go. So Coach Staggs was facing the team coming off the court, and I was standing right behind Coach Staggs, and I was just looking around the stadium because I knew what he was going to tell them didn't have anything to do with what I was going to be doing the rest of the night because I'd just be sitting there.
Yeah.
So he immediately turned around and he said, Steve, what was so funny back there? And I said, well, I explained to him. I said, well, we're playing Manchester, and the cheerleaders are cheering from Winchester. He said, Steve, don't pay any attention to those cheerleaders.
Actually, Steve played on one of the best football teams that Lawrenceburg's ever had.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. Yes.
Played in the Clinic Bowl.
Yes.
And got tied in the last minute of the game by the other team, which was coached by a guy that was from Lawrenceburg.
Yeah.
And
Leroy.
Leroy Hollis.
Leroy Hollis, yes.
Yeah.
Had gone on to Glencliff and was coaching there.
Wow. Now, what year was that team?
65.
The
65 team.
Yeah.
Wow. Good deal.
Player of the Year, Louis
Louis
Heller.
Heller, yeah.
Now, you played too, didn't you?
I played in Lawrenceburg Public,
Okay. All right. But not high school.
not high school.
Not high school.
I was Little Butchie Newell.
Little Butchie.
Things.
What'd you play?
I talked my sister, who was teaching then, into being a sponsor for a tennis team. So I formed a tennis team for the first time for Lawrence County.
So you started tennis.
Yeah.
How about that?
And then 3 years later, when we were seniors, Mr. Few went off to somewhere else to be principal, and the new principal wouldn't let us have a tennis team, and I never knew why. So we had 3 years of a tennis team before. Of course, now they've had one for years. But
Right.
that was
Okay.
fun.
Well, good deal.
Great, Jim. Yeah.
I remember we would just drive ourselves to matches. We were in, I guess we played in Sheffield. We stopped in Florence to come home to eat, and we left John Norton at Burger Chef down there. And there were no cell phones. We didn't know it till we got back to Lawrenceburg.
You're kidding.
No,
Y'all do it on purpose?
Oh, my God.
well, not really.
Well, now, did you girls play or cheer or do anything like that?
I was in the band my freshman
The
year
band,
with
that's-
Roy Jean Frazier.
Yeah. So we had a band, too.
We had a band too. We had a big band.
What did you
big
play?
goat
What'd you
machine,
play?
Clarinet.
Clarinet.
Why just 1 year?
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
now, do you still play some?
Oh no.
Well, you should.
Well,
You should. You should. Awesome. We got about 8 minutes left, and want to remind folks again that this is the LCHS graduates of high school from the Lafayette School, the LCHS at Lafayette group, and of course they're planning a good reunion there for everybody who went to LCHS on Lafayette and anybody else that might want to attend.
Yeah.
They gather on the second Saturday in May. I'm getting this down.
You got it.
The second Saturday in May, and it'll be at 11 o'clock starting time at Rotary Park. They've got help getting in and out of the cars and shuttles if you need it.
Right.
Food trucks.
Food trucks will be
Nutty
there.
bars.
The what am I saying? The skylighters. Start saying the highlighters. The skylighters will be there. Now, are all of them? Now, I know Dickie Mayberry's no longer with us. He was a big part of
Jim
it.
Messer.
And Jim Messer.
Yeah.
But there's still several of them left, right?
Oh, the only two are gone, aren't they?
And John Marston, isn't he part of them?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
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 John goes to church with me now. John, always admired John's hair.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's for sure.
Well, his bass playing was pretty good, too. But
His bass playing is pretty awesome. Yeah, he's one of the coolest guys I know in the bass.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
The thing about the Skylighters is if you've never heard them, it would be a treat to come and
It
listen
really
to those
is.
guys. Oh, they're fantastic.
Yeah.
Of course, I listened to them when we were in high school and they were in high school. So
Yeah.
so we go back a long way. So it was a lot of fun though.
Go back a long way,
A
buddy.
long way.
That's
There
right.
was a Mr. Bud Webb who started the youth center at the old National Guard Armory.
Yeah.
And he was he was in love with the Skylighters and had them playing
All the time.
dances
All
up
the
there all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, from the time I was 9 or 10, I remember going to hear the Skylighters.
How about that?
And the
Neat.
thing about it is, your parents would, the parents would let you go. I mean, there was no issues of any bad blood or anything like that going to these dances. It was
Yeah.
just all kids, and we all had a big time, and
Yeah.
it was wonderful. Yeah,
And you
That's
had to
great.
take your shoes off
Yeah.
to go out on the floor and
Yeah.
dance.
Oh, really?
sock dancing.
Oh,
yeah.
well, they had that nice gym floor in there.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good deal. Good deal.
And that's where I grew up. I grew up in the armory.
In the armory?
Yeah, in
Yeah,
the
your
armory.
dad.
Yeah,
You grew up
Yeah.
in the armory.
in the armory.
Well,
yeah.
attaboy.
And your dad was the
Her dad, his dad.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. You
Yeah.
were there all the time.
commander of it or whatever,
Yeah.
right?
So when we were young, in '51 or '52, the high school gym had burned, and they played basketball at my house. I thought, well, they're coming to my house to play ball. Because at that time, I didn't realize, I was, 3 or 4 years old, I guess. I didn't realize that everybody didn't have a gym in their home. I thought, what? And they're coming here to play at my house.
Come play at your house.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Pretty neat. Well, good deal. So let me go back through again. You graduated 65,
68.
68,
70.
70,
72.
72,
71.
71. Okay. Pretty good spread there. Pretty good spread. Well, y'all doing a good thing. It's a good thing. And did I mention it earlier, but do y'all bring your annuals and stuff like
Yeah.
that with you when you come?
Oh, yeah.
All that kind of stuff. That's neat. That's
And
very
again,
neat.
there's no charge. You can make donations, but
Say that now.
We've got a Facebook group page. It's LCHS on Lafayette.
Oh, yeah.
So any classmate, all classmates, just find it and we'll let you, or we'll,
yeah.
But your
Let-
mom
let
had
'em-
every,
yeah.
every yearbook.
yeah, now when my mother was over there as secretary, she got a yearbook from each year. So I've got quite a stack of books.
Well, good deal. Good deal. I think they probably still have. I would like to go get. I need to replace mine. I need to go get from my years. I would like to. Anyway, I think there's actually a picture in one of the years. There's a picture of me and Teresa walking down the hall together in one of those years. So anyway, I talked her into marrying me. How about that? She tricked me.
She tricked you.
I think you tricked her.
Anyway, 7:50. It's 8:57, and we got a few more minutes left. What else would you guys like to share this morning before we have to go?
I'll tell you one of my funniest ones, because you just if somebody dares me to do something,
Yeah.
So, but I actually turned it into making some money. So, how many people would you think would sit in the old building? 100? It was huge.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Huge.
So, and what some of the teachers would do is they'd let you go by row. They'd say this row can go to the library now, because you couldn't have everybody in the library, so they took turns.
Yeah.
So when it came my time, my row's time, I'd already said, if you give me a quarter, I'll take a dive up there because the desk was up on a platform, so the teacher could look down, and there were steps. So I got about $3 or something to do that. So I walked in front of the desk, and I was so nervous, I didn't even hit the step. I just dove. I didn't trip on it. I just dove. And everybody started laughing, and whoever the teacher was yelled at him, "No, y'all be quiet. He might have hurt himself." And I'm down there going.
Now, I missed a little bit of that. I don't understand what you did.
I took a dive. I
Took a
dove.
dive off
like
of
I
what?
tripped on the steps going
Okay.
to the platform.
Okay.
And I just sprawled out on the floor.
Oh, okay.
Went in the library and laughed my head off.
That's
Well,
you
see,
know, it's funny you should say that. Go ahead.
The thing about going to the library is that was the only room in the school that was air conditioned.
You're right.
Yes.
That's right.
So all of a sudden, everybody wanted to go to the library, not to study, just to get in there and
Oh,
get
my
cool.
gosh, yeah.
because- Yes.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that. Well, we're winding down. We got just about a minute before we have to go. So I want to remind everybody, first of all, you can find it on Facebook. It's LCHS at Lafayette Facebook page, and that'll help you right there.
On Lafayette or at?
On Lafayette.
On, yeah.
On Lafayette. LCHS on. I don't know my English very well. In fact, I can't even spell Lafayette, but you know. So anyway, LCHS on Lafayette. Find them on Facebook, and of course, if you're a part of that group, you know it. That's for sure. And of course, even if you're not a part of the group, they invite you to come out the second Saturday in May, which is coming up, by the way. It's not this Saturday, but next, and it's going to be a good time. Skylighters will be there, and all you guys plan to be there.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yep.
Well, here's a good line from the 60s. Since, as Tiny Brown would say, a good time will be had by all.
A good time. will be
I
had
remember
by
her.
all.
A good time was had by all.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
We appreciate you guys coming in this morning.
She was the recruiter.
Yeah.
Yep.
God, oh, my gosh. Thanks, Jeff. for
Thank
having
you
us on.
guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you
Thanks a
very
lot.
much.
New Orleans, hours after Columbia called the cops in New York City.
At their request, we went in and conducted